and you apply for the license. But if you don't pass the license, we don't give you the license, you basically get shut down.
Sanjay, welcome to Rising Giants. Really happy to have you on the podcast as we dive more into the Thailand crypto landscape. And you're a great person to be talking to about this because you are the co-founder and group CEO of CryptoMind Group Holdings. It's the leading Web3 ecosystem builder in Thailand that is involved in CryptoMind Media, which is Bitcoin Addict, as well as putting together the Thailand Blockchain Week since 2018, CryptoMind Advisory, Merkle Capital, which is the first digital asset fund licensed by the Thai SEC, and also CryptoMind Labs, a dynamic venture studio looking to elevate Web3 builders. So Sanjay, thank you for coming on the podcast with us. And how are you doing today?
Thank you as well, Max and Dom. My pleasure being here. So always excited to talk about crypto and my journey and what's going to go on and having a great chat here as well with you two.
Great. Well, just to begin with, can you talk us through how you became an entrepreneur? What was kind of the first spark for you going down that path?
So to wind back down, rewind couple of years ago, right? So my kind of entrepreneurial journey started off actually not because of the Web3 space. I was actually working in my family business, doing a very traditional business, which is a textile wholesaler. So on that, you didn't really have we are small SME company, right? So everything I was quite hands-on. So at that time, I was focusing on expanding the market for that business into Cambodia, Burma mainly, and then was traveling to Burma quite often and wholesaling all these Thai fabric from the factory to all these other region in Southeast Asia, right? And then after that, I was venturing into looking into more exciting stuff to do, very tech or what is a newer next wave of innovation coming out. And along that time, I was exploring a couple of businesses, I would say, and fail in most of them, from agriculture to real estate related to even fashion related. So kind of a few experience, deep dive in few of them. And then I think, after that, it was started off in crypto in 2017, where I kind of discover Bitcoin and reading a couple of blogs, book, listening to a couple of YouTube as well. And then I was what the hell is going on here? And then I was reading a lot on Time magazine. It's money they use.
Do any particular people stand out? Some of those influences back in the day, who really got you kind of into it? Is there that one person that you remember?
I think it was Anthony Antopoulos, I think.
Andreas Antonopoulos. Yeah.
Yeah, Andreas.
He's an OG. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was the first one of the YouTube I watched by him. So it was kind of a very informing, very well structured, So I think that was the guy back then that people were looking up to and listening to as well, right? I haven't listened to him in quite a while, to be honest. Don't know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he's kind of. I think he's kind of checked out a bit. He's let someone else take it on.
Yeah, so I think right now there's too much, a lot of educator in the space already. Yeah. So yeah, I think that time was that, and buying a couple of books as well, right? There's the Blockchain Revolution book by Tapscott, I think, then Alex Tapscott, and then there was Bitcoin Standard as well, Safe Dean, right? So I think those are some of the books I was reading at that time. Yeah, so it was getting quite very informative back then, and then looking back, right, it was also, okay, now I read all about this, and how do I go about it? Is there anyone in Thailand that is talking about this or not? So that's how it's kind of opened the wormhole there, right? So I went to couple of smaller meetup at some local event and meet some of the community member. Yeah, so that was kind of weird, exciting at the same time.
And so this was 2018, right?
Yeah. And then what happened was I kind of told my dad that I'm quitting the family business and I'm going to pursue my crypto thing. And then they were like, my parents were like, are you getting scammed? Like, what the hell is going on here? Blah, blah, blah. Are you okay? Like, yeah. So I had to explain to them that I'm all right. Like, yeah, if this fail, I still have like a master degree. I can go find a corporate job somewhere else. If this kind of like backfired completely. So I was like, yeah, I need to give this a try. So I was initially I did I joined one of the company as a BD, like a business development guy, head of BD and one of the local ICO like advisory firm. So at that time they were trying to acquire the license from the Thai SEC. There's this license called ICO portal. And then yeah, we are exploring some like kind of investment token, like security token kind of initiative. But I think it was taking too long, the whole process. So and then we are doing like some educational courses as well. And after like I think nearly 1 year, the company kind of like wind down. And during that year also I met like my other co-founder of CryptoMind group. So that's how we kind of get started together and like exploring what we can do. So initially like we started CryptoMind as like more of a community building. So that's where we kind of focus our stuff in, which means that we want to like educate people, bring people together, share some idea, talk about what sector they're looking at, what kind of investment are they doing. And then we have a media arm where we do quite a few interview, write a lot of blog, educational blog as well. And all these guide, right, like crypto related, from investing and analyzing different kind of token, looking at the market trend. And that's how also we started like in 2018, the first Thailand blockchain week with other community members as well, to kind of educate the public on why this is not a scam and why like we should look into it. And like actually we brought a lot of governmental agency and people there as well to have a great dialogue. So it was a good starting point back then as well.
And just maybe just paint a picture of like what were the characters like, you know, in the space in 2018? You said, you know, it was a little bit weird here and there. Like, what did it look like?
So in 2018, like as you know, it's very like Wild West, right? So there was no clear regulation, and everybody was kind of like try to grapple like, and also to be honest, there are also many scammers as well. Yeah, that I came across like during that time. People try to show you their ICO fundraising via ICO, which wouldn't have anything meaningful. So I think it's got to be kind of like careful as well, like what you get yourself into, and regulation was still not clear, right? Like for example, I can give you like in Thailand there were like one major exchange back then, and then there are all these smaller one coming out. And there's also some like a super small one coming out like with no kind of like, I probably say all their backend is like probably nothing in their backend. They probably have like all these hot wallet in one place, like so there's no kind of control, right? So that's kind of changed in Thailand in 2018, where the SEC see like, okay, everybody's trying to open up their own exchange. You know, that's funny thing in Thailand. So like you walk to like so many people, oh, I want to open an exchange, I want to open an exchange. And that time, like an exchange is like you're dealing with people money, right? So it's kind of like you got to be really, really careful. And like if you market it and like people use your platform that get compromised, get hacked, or if you don't you don't have the right proper audit process, and some people like funnel out the customer money as well, like it's kind of like super wild to see back in the day. And but then later on, okay, we have all these licenses, right? So if you want to have operate exchange, you need a exchange license, there's a broker license, dealer license. So it became more regulated, and what they tried to did was like, okay, if you operate your exchange before the license come out, you're still allowed to operate, and then you apply for the license. But if you don't pass the license, we don't give you the license, you basically get shut down. So I think that case happened with one or two exchanges as well locally. Yeah. And then at that time, like, yeah, and then after that, it's kind of more regulation coming in, more control. Everything seems more stable, right? Like, yeah. And then at that time also we have like small group of users as well. So I would say in Thailand, you have only about like 150,000 trader, I'd say, like people who have like crypto account, right? whereas today we are like at like 2.5 million user right now, so probably like 10x up, right, from that time, the amount of user. And also I think the kind of regulator also kind of like didn't think that crypto was going to blow up so hard as well in 2021. At first they thought it's going to be this small industry, let's regulate them and like chuck all these guys into like these startup into one place and nothing will amount of them anyway. I think that was what they kind of thinking back then. But like I think the whole blowout in like 2020 and 2021, right, was like they also have to be more stringent with all the regulation they issue, right? And like with the new player or old player, licensed player, they already gave out, right? So it's kind of interesting to see the development there as well.
Yeah, just one quick question or like comment. It's really interesting to see how quick a lot of that regulation was pushed through comparatively to maybe other countries. But yeah, I'm just curious. I guess how was it passed through so quickly or accepted?
Yeah, so I think the reason that at that time also I was like basically I was talking to the SEC nearly at least on a weekly basis as well. So we try to educate them at one arm, and other arm I was exploring the license as well for a couple of companies that we are working with, right? So I would say the tone that time was that it's kind of concerning as well if I were them, because like I mean you look at what happened back in the day, right? In 2018 or 2019, there was all these companies trying to like I mentioned, right, trying to open up the exchange. People were like trying to issue ICO right here and there. So we had like one listed company did an ICO like legally. So that's why they were like, and other people are kind of exploring. So it's going to be like, yeah, it's very interesting to see, I think, yeah. So, and then at that time,
just pay, like, just wing over 100K to Binance and everything will be okay.
Yeah. So, but no, actually the ICO did by one of the listed company in Thailand was super legit. So, I mean, they're a listed company, right? So they have to do everything in a proper manner. And they had to pay the VAT as well for their fundraising, which is kind of like stupid and like interesting to see as well. But yeah, after that happened, I think after they see this case, right, so they were wondering, all these other listed companies, they're gonna issue token now. What are we gonna do? All these people wanna open up exchange. What are we gonna do now? So I think that's why it has to roll out quite fast, because I think the adoption in Thailand is super fast as well on that end, right? Like I mean. Yeah, it's very interesting to see on that arm as well. I mean, like, for example, even like on the payment side, right? Like we had like in 2021, 2020, where I think we had all these advertisement by a lot of the real estate company in Thailand that you can buy your condo with Bitcoin, with crypto, right? And then I think after 2 weeks, it got shut down as well. Because like everybody was like, let's say one company does it, right? One developer does it. And then the developers see this company promoting this. They're like, okay, we also should accept crypto. And everybody make a big news out of all of this, right? That they're like, okay, we're accepting crypto. And became like an advertisement all around like Bangkok. Like if you see the billboard, right? Like, we accept crypto now. And then after 2 weeks, the BOT had to come out and say, right, you're not allowed to accept crypto. Just accept Thai baht now. And then everybody kind of like died down.
Yeah. And maybe just taking a little step back here, like what do you think? Because like in 2018, it was probably the time where you had to question things a little bit, like you know, is this going to head in the right direction? What was like the kind of the essence of the industry that really kind of caught you, that kind of keeps you around, like the long-term vision of what's being built here? Yeah,
so I think that's a great question, right? So I mean, like people jump into like the bull market of like 2017 and see everything is going to be like rosy and like very easy to get to, right? So I think 2018 was still like kind of okay. Like you see like all these movement with the ICO and whatnot, right? I think the interesting challenge was more on 2019. Where like, okay, like at this moment in time, I think 2019 was one of the worst market I've been into, like the whole, even the atmosphere and the environment, right? Like, cause you don't really know, like, okay, you hear people talking about like DeFi, like there was Etherland back then, right? Which is turned into Aave now, right?
Yeah.
And then like there was talk of like all these consumer app, wallet, experience was still bad in the whole like onboarding of the people, right? Whether you're using hot or cold wallet. So I would say the sentiment in 2019 was quite bad because like it was like the bottom of the bull market. You can't really see the what immediate innovation is coming out. But I think
I mean, Bitcoin went, it was as low as $3,000, right?
Yeah.
In 2019, and
Yeah.
from 21 down to 3 it flushes a lot of people out, right? It's like the real people that stuck around weren't doing it for the money.
Yep. So for us, I think we kind of still see the opportunity, right? So we are talking to a lot of people in the space, whether it's a local builder or global builder as well. And then we are we have like a couple of partners in Vietnam, like around the region, right? So we still have constant talk with them. And then I think from talking to few of the founder, right? I think a lot of them were still in like a deep build mode, right? I think when you talk to them, you see more kind of light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like the way exactly this is going on, and I think that's what kind of kept us going as well, right? So there are more innovation is going to be built in the space, more builder onboarding. You're seeing all these smart people still like coming out of like top university or consulting firm, quitting their job and started work in like crypto firm, right? That's kind of give us like kind of like validation, I would say, what we are doing, not because we see them doing that, right? Kind of validate, okay, we're still here. Maybe sometimes it's still slow, so we're exploring a couple of stuff as well back then with more like local corporate and see like, okay, how actually like the blockchain can be used in different application, and also on the innovation side we're talking still investing in a couple of like founder as well back in the day, like 2019. That's what we are mainly doing, right? And for the media side, we still host our event at that time, so it's still not too bad. I think there's a lot, the attendance goes up, people are still interested in the space. So I would say it was bad, but it still kept us going, I would say. Yeah.
And at the time, maybe like talk us through kind of the journey of CryptoMind. You started off mostly focused on the media and events side, and then it's kind of shifted beyond that. So maybe just diving into like media and events. So you started Bitcoin Addict, you did the Thailand Blockchain Week. Maybe just run us through those two and how it was like building that channel and building the Thailand Blockchain Week and what goes into that doing that event every year.
Yeah, so I would say like this, right? So kind of like the starting point is based on community, right? So that's why we did all the events you see and like all the media side as well. So it's all about community building. That's where the core is, right? So what we mean by community is that when you build a community, you kind of like give value and like everybody will kind of give value to each other, right? That's where the core purpose of the community are, right? Whether your wallet get hacked or like you want to get to know someone, you want to talk about project and bounce some idea, right? That's kind of like the vibe we want to keep it, and our core purpose of building the media channel as well, right? To give like kind of informative news and people to follow what is trending as well, and what the community should look at that moment in time. So that's where the initial core of CryptoMind is, right? Like from the first vertical, which is focused solely on community building. That's why we have the media arm, the events, the big conference as well, and also like deep diving into different projects and sharing idea with the community, right? Like, okay, we are having a look at like this sector, does it make sense, or like what's the counter argument here? What sector are you looking at? Right, that's more on the investment perspective.
Yeah, it's well, honestly like there's a lot I feel in common we have, like in terms of like what Dom and I have tried to do more in the let's say the more Web 2 space here in Cambodia. Like we started off on the media like podcast and events side, and then as time has gone on, we then were able to set up our like a small kind of micro fund to do investing in startups here and a few other countries. But yeah, it's so important to not start off in a commercial way, right? And kind of build build that network, build that curiosity. So, but what was that like for you, like kind of bootstrapping that? And because I mean, me and Dom are aware as well, like how was it, like, you know, just on the events and media and like being able to monetize that? Was it easy? I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, it was easy, especially in 2019. Right? I think in 2018 was still not bad because like I think sometime the way we worked the revenue model back then was so we have like the pool we invest in together in like a private round, right? So that's one arm, and on the other arm is also we kind of like help project with the go-to-market strategy in Thailand specifically and user acquisition. So once we have the community out, right, we also want to bring like interesting stuff to the community. Obviously, it's like we have to be like very careful what we push out to community as well, right? So if we see a scam project, a shit project that we don't even want to touch, we would tell them no as well. Right? So I think that's why you gotta balance the integrity and like what you want to build as well, right? So you don't want to be like predatory with your community and like extracting all the value from them, right? Which is very important from my perspective, that like you have to be able to give value back as well, which mean that I think can be in a monetary way, right? Let's say we like, for example, I think in 2018, we took people to like play around all these airdrop, right? And they were quite happy with it because like what they only waste is their time, and there's quite like very heavily rewarded, right? Like, so we also were farming. I think that time there was like a couple of exchange that like you can do like all these trading on, and you accumulate the point, right? And then they drop you their token and whatnot, right? So we are sharing all these, okay, what kind of trade can we do? So like these kind of became like a talk like every day, right? Okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing there? Blah, 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 right? So I think it's kind of giving value back to the community is the main thing. But obviously, I think once the bear market hit, cause like I think we are also a small team and we didn't scale too fast. That is where I think kind of value prop also lie, right? Like,
How big was your team back then?
I mean, we have like 6 co-founder, right? Like
okay.
7 co-founder, and like everybody had their own role, right? So the main thing was we managed to bootstrap everything up, which means that we don't need to hire like, we didn't even hire anyone. I think we had like 1-2 intern doing some of the work for us. So basically we have like 8 people just doing everything together, right? Even like organizing event, I was like, we were booking the space ourselves, ordering our food ourselves, and like doing all the roll up ourselves as well, right? So,
and are they all still, maybe just share a bit more about your co-founders? Are they all still kind of with CryptoMind, or have they kind of gone, branched off and gone and done other things?
Yeah. So most of them are still with CryptoMind. Like I think 2 of them are handling the Zentry like unit right now, right? So Zentry, formerly called Gilfi, so they spin off and they're running the Zentry right now, yeah. But the rest is still like one guy is still handling the fund management aspect of the business. One guy is leading the research arm, and one is doing the strategy, and one was looking at the media side with me. Yeah, so we have like different kind of people with different responsibility, which is kind of like I think it's quite natural as well in a way that like, okay, you can kind of like drive your own initiative and like focus on what your strengths are, right? So we don't want people to be like building like or spending time with not their core strength as well. Like we don't want to put the research guy into like a BD person, for example, right? Yeah, which is quite very different kind of skill set. Yeah, so that's kind of like everybody's still with us, like, but just like 2 of them are running the Zentry arm, which is what kind of CryptoMind incubated as well. Yeah,
that's great. And so maybe could you talk to us a little bit about the investment side as well? Be great to dive into kind of like what your overall thesis is, and maybe some of your approaches into looking at investing in the space.
Yeah, so perfect. Yeah, so I think like just to continue a bit, right? Like I mean, after we have the media side and all, and then we have the SEC open 2 more license, right? So we have the Merkle Capital and advisory license out. So the reason we got that license also because like when we go to like, basically we're doing a lot of community stuff, then we get invited to like talk at different venue, right? Whether it's a corporate governmental agency or like even university. And like when we go to all these talk, people were like, can you invest for us? And obviously we're like, no, right? So that's how the idea came about. Okay, the SEC just opened up this new license that we can manage people fund, right? So we should acquire this, we should go for the regulated side and onboard people here naturally, right? If they want to invest, we do it properly in a regulated manner and transparent as well, right? So I think like going back to our investment thesis, right? Like, so I think like it's kind of like different way, right? Like, I mean, if you want to look at like the pre-market stuff, like the investment seed round, it's very kind of like a different skill set with like the liquid fund or like the trading arm, right? So on our end, like we're not super kind of like a trade savvy, because I mean we're not like short long option. We don't do any of that, right? So what we normally do is like more like conviction bet or kind of like a VI investment, like which sector is coming out and like kind of handpick like the token from there and like invest based on our research and talking to the team as well. And and on the other side of thing, like VC arm is where we kind of invested in different project at early stage, right? So that's more risky, but I would say like we were like lucky to meet a lot of great founder, right, to back them as well. So for example, in 2019, we met the Band Protocol. So they were doing like a decentralized Oracle. So we invested in the seed round as well, for example, right? And then after that, we built up the
was
network.
Catherine there at the time? Or was that?
I think she wasn't there yet.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So there was 2019, she wasn't there yet.
Okay,
Yeah. So and then like we invested in like other project that network kind of built, and then the deal flows start flowing in, right? So I think for the thesis on the VC early market, I would say the first of all is the vertical or the sector they're building in, right? What's the value that they will capture, and also I think it's probably the basic, right? Like you want to bet on the founder, right? That's where most of us are betting on, right? Like or sometimes it's just like super early stage, and then we kind of like, okay, we want to do a founder bet here, right? So, like a small amount, but like help them out as well.
Yeah, that we resonate on the founder bet side. Since we're at Satori Giants with Max and I and a few others, we're looking at that pre-seed side. So a lot of the founders we're basically evaluating and seeing if they're someone that we feel confident can grow in the Web2 space, of course, but can grow the business. And if that doesn't work out, you can maybe back them on another project too. But I'd be curious, just in mentioning about sectors or verticals that your team is invested in, what have been maybe some of the verticals that have worked out and some of the ones that haven't worked out that you looked at over your course of time?
So I would say like the smaller infrastructure play is quite difficult to compete. Like I think we did like a couple of smaller deal in like the smaller L1, right? Like, which didn't succeed. And also I think a lot of the gaming related token didn't turn out that well that we invested in. I think in 2020 and 2021, I would say like at that time valuation was super high, right? So I mean our investment arm is that we have our own we LP ourselves, right? So we are quite like we can navigate it quite a bit on what we can invest and what we can invest in any sector, right? So and sometimes also I think gaming side didn't perform too well yet, and on the particularly smaller layer 1, layer 2 that we invested in haven't really took off that well as well.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And I guess from your side then, in like recent times, what has been on CryptoMind's plate in terms of what you've been working on or building?
So I think like for this year, focus solely, right? Like we are working with more, I would say, infrastructure related project, and then we have a new initiative from this year, from last year, right? That we are looking to run like node validator, and also like work closely with the ecosystem we work with, right? So for example, right now we are working with like Berachain and Aptos, for example. And what we do with that is like a lot of the Aptos project, we are talking with them as well. A lot of newer Berachain project, we are talking to them as well. So this kind of give us more opportunity to like For investment wise is one thing, and other side also to help them with the go to market strategy in Asia side. Yeah, that's our main value prop as well. So that's kind of been my focus this year. For the investment wise, we haven't been investing too heavily. I think we have like I think 2 to 3, I think maximum 3 deals this year that we did. And for last year as well, like I think we invested in a couple of deals. We actually invested in meme land as well. So yeah, so that was one of our big founder play and like the meme sector bet as well from last year, which I think they're doing quite well as well. So yeah, I think.
Just to clarify, like you kind of have two arms on the investment side. So it's like you've got the Labs Venture Studio where it's like proprietary investments, and then you have Merkle Capital, which is sort of more related for let's say individual investors that are looking to just kind of get more like passive exposure, right? And then you break it down into like certain categories that people would want to be investing in. Maybe you could just like share a bit more on that, on like the relationship between the two.
Actually, there's not much relationship because it's quite segregated, like in a way, right? Like I mean, the lab side will invest in innovation or like company in the Web3, right? Like a newer one, which is like more risky, right? Like, but on Merkle side, it's like you think of this as a mutual fund, right? Like long only like a kind of basket of crypto based in like different strategy. So it's a very different approach, right? So for Merkle Capital, like what it's like kind of grayscale of Thailand, I would put it that way, right? So we have different strategy. So one is like MBTC, which is buying and holding Bitcoin for our client, right? And the client can T+2 then come in and out anytime. So that's where the value proposition lies, right? And we have like product like M blockchain, for example. Okay, we want to invest in L1, L2, we have this basket for you, right? Whether it's like ETH, BTC, Solana, BNB put together, right? And rebalance it for them on a monthly basis, depending on the market. So they kind of get exposure to the crypto side, and it's more liquid, right? Like, and they can come in and out anytime as well as they see fit. So it's kind of redemption is like T+2, right? Yeah. But for the lab side, it's like super risky, right? So that's why we didn't get the retail investment in. So it's all our own LP money.
Right.
We didn't even raise an LP, right? Like, or a GP, I mean,
Yeah. No, I mean that takes a certain kind of, risk appetite. So, and so Merkle Capital, what is the AUM today?
So we have Merkle and Elcrem together, right? So Elcrem is more on investing on a DeFi strategy. So let's say doing LP on a DeFi related platform, stablecoin farming, blah, 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 right? So in total, like the AUM is around like 80 mil right now for Merkle and Elcrem, 80 mil USD.
And what was it like? I mean, has that kind of surprised you, just like how much demand there is for that? And I presume most of the people that are depositing money in, they're all based in Thailand, right?
Yeah. So mainly like our focus is only a Thai clientele, right? Like and like we're regulated. I mean, maybe expat living in Thailand, some of them. That is.
But technically, anyone can, or is it just you'd have to be a resident of Thailand in order to? Is that correct?
Actually, if you pass the KYC, I think you can invest, but like you probably need like the local bank account and all, right? So for Merkle Capital, for at least, right? Like that might be a bit of barrier, like to invest in.
Yeah. Okay. So the onboard offboard would have to be via a Thai bank.
For Merkle Capital, yes, But for Elcrem, it's more like on the stable coin, right? We can accept stable coin, but we also KYC the client as well. So I think on the Merkle side, like I would say it's like kind of surprising as well that we also see a lot of indicator in the Merkle side as well, right? Like when we started off in Merkle in like 2020, late 2020 and early 21, we didn't expect like the AUM, like Merkle and Elcrem went from like 10 mil to like 40 mil within like 6 months, right? Like that's the peak of bull market. And we weren't even doing like a proper marketing, like aggressive marketing back then, right? Because like we just started off. And then like what happened was like once the bear market hit, I think that AUM went down to about like 20 mil. So half of them is gone, right? Like, yeah, a lot of people redeem out, like the investor is scared, but it's our job, right, to keep the investor like informed and also tell them where the opportunity lies as well, right? Like, so let's say our team is very good, like the Merkle team, like the investment team is really good with the calling, I would say near the bottom. So let's say at like in last year, Jan 2023, right, where I think Bitcoin went below 20K, we made a lot of calls to our big client to kind of redeeming or coming back in again. And just only Bitcoin only for them, right? Like, I mean, if they want to diversify, we'll tell them, okay, like kind of like talk to them and like see what their appetite are, right? So which I think the call timing is also very kind of like in hindsight it's kind of like perfect timing, but at that time people are saying like, oh, from 20K is coming down to 8K, right? Like you're seeing a lot of 8K call or 12K call at that time as well.
Yeah, I'm just generally I'm curious, from those clients that would have these kind of concerns, like generally did they receive the comfort that you were providing them that with much like rebuttal, or was it did you have to have multiple calls to try to like put them at ease?
I think that we had to have multiple call when there was cases like FTX, Luna, USDT,
right, exactly.
DPEC, right? So those are like, we already know, right? When all these things happen, right? We got to prepare like all the talking point, the research on our end as well. Or even like what happened with like I think the latest thing was the whole banking scenario this year where they had like the bank shut down, right? Like in US, some bank failed, right?
Yeah, the Silicon Valley Bank.
That one, SVB, right? Like, yeah. So I think these kind of like incidents, we have to be very prepared, right? Like, and it can happen anytime, right? Like, yeah. So when these kind of incidents happen, we have like emergency call, and the research team also help out with like, okay, the data set and everything, right? Like, yeah. That's why we have managed to avoid like a lot of scenarios that happen as well, right? Like, for example, what happened with FTX, we didn't even use the FTX platform for our client, right? So they're quite safe. And for like Terra Luna, we when we see the sign was not too well, we kind of cut it out on the large cap basket already, right? So by the time it happened, like Luna went from 120 to like 60. I think we cut it off already, yeah. So we just rebalancing into other stuff. So and we just have to inform the client we did this cause XYZ, right? Yeah. So I mean our team kind of work very close with the client with the RM and IC we have, right? So think of it, and most of our client is not like this is just part of their portfolio, right? So they're not all in like only crypto, right? So they kind of have like a leeway, a risk appetite to like kind of wait and see, and if they're in profit, and they always like want to chat with us on the market. So we have a regular update with them anyway, right? Like on the market update, the research we provide them, and also the outlook we have for them as well.
Not complete degens then, right?
yeah. I mean for Merkle, it's not very degen because like you have to manage the traditional kind of investor, right? Like, yeah. That's why we don't have like investment mandate into meme coin and all yet. Maybe if they requested, we might do something out of that, but let's see.
And what one other area to talk about a little bit in more detail would be kind of when looking. You just mentioned about like how people kind of consider this as part of their portfolio. What I find quite interesting about Thailand is like some of these larger funds, whether it be yourselves or agnostic. They've been able to raise like very sizable amounts of money from like the local market, and it seems to like almost be overtaking like funds in the that are focused on like, let's say, Web 2 and stocks. Would you say that's like would you say that's accurate? The overall sentiment towards crypto in general is like there's more allocation than stocks.
I think like, and it's kind of like a different comparison. I would say like crypto is more like investing in technology. I mean like technology stock, right? With like super high beta, right? Like yeah, that's how I'd put it, right? Like I mean like not considering Bitcoin anymore. I think the Bitcoin is more like being viewed as a digital gold at this moment in time, quite established already, right? So I would say like, okay, Bitcoin has its own thing, like status right now, right? Like compared to like back in the day. And with the crypto, the altcoin is more like, we call it the alt tech, right? Like, or technology investment. So it kind of opened up for people, the way we talk to people or investors, that we tell them it's more like an opportunity in invest in like new startup tech, right? Whereas before, let's say you want to invest in like Facebook, Amazon, Google, right? You gotta be only VC, right, to get in the round. But like from unless they IPO and you go buy their stock, right? But from my perspective, it's like these companies, they're like IPO since day one, right? That's the beauty of crypto, right? That like you can invest like in all this technology since day one, yeah.
Since day one, yeah. And where would you say the sentiment is kind of shifting, like right now in, coming up on November 2024? What would you say most of the people that you're talking to are kind of focused on in terms of investing in crypto right now?
So I would say like in this sector, I would say like right now, right? Like I mean, obviously like there are people looking to meme sector. I mean, that's for the retail side, right? They look into meme sector. But I think like talking to the VC, right? Like or even larger venture capital firm or hedge fund, I think they're looking more into like the consumer area where, okay, infrastructure is one of them that they always have the appetite for, right? Because like the whole market cap of the infrastructure project is huge, right? But on the other thing that I think they're looking at a lot of the consumer D app, where like, but this one is also like very hard, right? Like I mean, it could be like a big hit or miss, right? I mean, if you invest in like a consumer D app, you expect them to like ramp up all the number. It got to be sustainable as well, and people actually have to like and use the product as well, right? So that could be like the two sector that people look into, and also like real world asset as well, right? That's where a lot of people are looking into like how the traditional finance and DeFi are merging together into one, and all these platforms are coming up on that sense as well. I would say the AI stuff is probably kind of interesting, but there's a lot of noise in the AI sector as well, right? I mean, the AI crypto sector, you got to be really have quite a kind of deep knowledge, right, on what kind of AI project are you investing? Are you just carrying on the hype or not? Yeah, that's a bit of problem there as well. But for gaming side, I would say we see lesser appetite right now on the gaming side, because like right now, I think a lot of gaming token didn't perform too well. And also, like, it's back to basic for the game, right? We need like a fun game to play, a sustainable model that people want to like top up as well, right? Like, so you want to like just do like a short-term game, like it wouldn't work, right? A lot of people also try to build like different sort of genre of game, right? And how would token fit into these gaming, which also hard to validate as well, right?
And also maybe on the like geographical side, like where would you say you talk with a lot of the VCs and so the bigger investors in the space, and of course there's DevCon coming up in a few weeks time, or like 2 or 3 weeks time. Would you also say there's momentum shifting towards teams that are outside of, let's say, US, Europe, and more so like focused on Asia, and you see a lot more teams being based here?
So I would say like the way I see it right now is that, so you have like the western side of the world, right, where they have all the like big infrastructure project rolling out from there, and you have all these like institution players, like, okay, putting in like huge TVL in from the western side of the world. But on the eastern side, where I think like the Southeast Asia or even like Asia as a whole, right? Okay, you have like some capital here, but like you have much more user base in Asia compared to the US, I would say, yeah, compared together. So that's why I think a lot of projects are looking into the Asia side, right? Like for kind of like, they already know that people are using their product, but they haven't been doing anything much here, right? So it doesn't, now is where they kind of like want to shift the focus a bit and focus on what their user actually like, and like what they're going to build for the user on this side of the world as well.
Yeah, I think looking at like, I mean, I was looking at some data. I mean, I think 600 million people own crypto, and a majority is now in Asia.
Yep.
In terms of wallets, and so maybe just talk a bit about DevCon in Bangkok, and what impact do you think that's going to have on Thailand and maybe just the overall like Southeast Asia Web3 space?
Yeah, I think it's probably like one of the best things that can happen into the Southeast Asia or Asia as a whole, right? Like I mean, last time I think DevCon was in Colombia, if I'm not mistaken. But I think this way a lot of the local builder like in the region can actually come together and work and see the innovation that's happening in the space, right? It's a great opportunity to pull more builder in as well from the traditional tech side of the builder as well, that if they have any interest. Right now I'm looking into like the whole DevCon thing. They're mostly a lot of hacker house builder related event, right? Like I mean, they're like 411 side event right now, right? So I think it's going to be a crazy week in Bangkok for sure, with a lot of like hacker house networking, a lot of BD stuff, or even like VC coming on from abroad, right? So it's going to be a very eye-opening for them as well, because I think a lot of them haven't been to like Bangkok or even Southeast Asia even once, except for Singapore, right? So I think it's probably
Singapore doesn't really count.
Yeah, I mean Singapore is just Singapore, right? So
yeah.
I think like for them is to actually see like the people here, the local builder here, and to give them the sense of how big the community it is in Asia would probably be very interesting as well. It'd probably be a first step into a larger step, right, for different foundation to look at different initiative they want to build as well, right? So I know for a fact that like Ethereum Foundation, a lot of them are in Chiang Mai right now. They have all these couple of events like leading up to DevCon, Invisible Garden, couple of like 6-7 other events. And even like interestingly, like Ethereum guys are in Chiang Mai, right? And then you have the Solana guy, they're all in Samui right now. They have this island DAO going on, where also the same thing, right? You bring a lot of like all these dev into like a couple of private villa. So they have like 50 to 100 of them. I think 100 plus of them are already there, right? Building and working together.
Must be
So I think,
must be some big parties as well.
yeah, probably that as well, right? But I think it's probably like great for the local builder and local corporate or even like community like us as well to have to be involved with them, right? Because I think this kind of like a once in a long opportunity, right, to get all these great people here and being here with us in Bangkok, right?
It must
Kinda
be.
like
It must just feel like such a big moment for you personally, right? Because it's like it's like that. Everything that you've been building towards. It's kind of like the event that kind of marks that. That moment.
Yeah. So I think like that's why this year is like a key, right? Like I mean, for our event itself, right? So we're expecting like 8,000 people. I think there's already like more than 10,000 people are flying like in for DevCon specifically, right? So you gotta have like a lot of great conversation is going to happen during that week. A lot of deals going to be done. A lot of innovation is going to be happening as well, like with all the builder being pulled together, right? Obviously, you're going to have all the entertainment related stuff, right? Whether it's meme coin, DGen talk and whatnot. So these are completely different sector, right? But also like the builder sector is still there.
Yeah, and speaking about kind of, we'll call them like fun distractions. How have you over the years been able to kind of remain level-headed, especially among all the ups and downs within the industry that you've experienced? What are some habits that you've installed in yourself, or ways that you've been able to remain level-headed through all the noise?
I would say like probably be as open-minded as possible and try to like listen to people more. I would say that a lot of people like once I think they earn certain status or level, right? They probably be like they think they're the best and have a very high ego, right? I would say like for me myself, I keep myself very engaged with the local community or like local developer or even upcoming people in the space, right? That's what I kind of enjoy as well, to learn more about like what they see. And because to be honest, right, I mean, if you talk to like the older OG guys, a lot of them don't have that hunger and drive anymore, right? So that's why I enjoy myself talking to all these newer builder or people coming up in the industry, right? You get to learn more from them as well, because like they probably be grinding super hard like 24/7, right? Compared to like the more OG people that are like okay, I'm already like chill here. Like people come to talk to me all the time. Yeah, so I think you get to learn a lot as well, and what kind of like product market fit, or like what kind of stuff they're looking into, what kind of vision they're looking into, what thesis they have, right? So I think these hunger also drive like innovation as well in a way, right, on my end. So it helps me learn a lot more as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Are there any specific people or projects that you're particularly interested in, or want to call out, just in terms of the great work that they're putting in?
Yeah, I think like right now there's quite a few like foundation that's pulling together a lot of work, right? I mean, like for example, like Solana Foundation, ETH Foundation doing what they're doing in like during DevCon. Solana Foundation is like doing like the breakpoint energy was amazing. Ton as well, I think is one of the big one, right? Like coming out like Ton X, Ton, they had like a couple of entities there. Like I went to the event, there's probably like one of the best builder vibe there as well, right? Everybody's talking, no one is talking about anything, no one is talking about price at all at the Ton event, which is like super interesting. They're like, okay, what should we building? We have this distribution network, like what is there coming out? Or even like I've been to like even at from the Sui or Aptos event, I think you see a lot of good vibe happening there as well. So I would say overall, all this infrastructure project, right? Like they try to encourage an onboard builder, right? I think, which is great for all of us, right? That like, yeah, that is going to have more innovation happening in the space, and like onboarding more builder and see where innovation will take us in the future as well.
Yeah. And if you could have one book with you on a deserted island, what would it be?
For me, it'd probably be like the book that I love the most is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Great one.
Phenomenal book. That's like top of my list as well.
Yeah, so that book kind of resonates a lot with me. It's kind of like following your dream, your passion, and like kind of like take us to like the journey that we want to go, right? So a lot of time I would say like that people are more focused on the destination, but the enjoyment is actually where the journey takes you, right? Like, yeah. So sometimes even like from CryptoMind side, it kind of resonated with me a lot, right? Like we started out like super small media community thing. I didn't even like think of it like, okay, we got to be like doing all these like different things like at this moment in time, right? So it kind of just like go along the journey and like following your dream, your passion, kind of like, and work your way through. I think that kind of resonate a lot with me. Yeah.
Yeah, and enjoy the trip along the way.
Yep.
That's very, very important. And what would you say is the greatest piece of advice that you've ever been given?
So I have like a mentor during my master degree, right? So what he always tell me is like he wrote this on a paper for me. So that's kind of like the three things that I take it along, right? So basically for him it's like he wrote the word fear of failure. So basically, people are quite afraid of failure, but they don't have the fear of the known, right? Like I mean, like they're quite comfortable with what they're into at this moment in time. But with failure, is that like people have too much fear of failure that they're afraid to do something new. So I mean, to overcome that, like just go out there and like there's three types as well. You can fail fast, fail forward, and fail cheap. So just like whatever you do, right? Whether you're doing a startup or like even working in a corporate, right, or trying something new as a content creator, right? If you don't start at a certain point, you can't actually do something, right? And obviously you will fail along the way, right? That's just a part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and that goes back to just enjoying the journey too. I mean, it will like you said, fail fast and fail forward. So I think that's a really great takeaway and a great place to conclude the episode. So Sanjay, thank you so much for coming on to Rising Giants with us today. It was an absolute pleasure, and we really appreciate the time. And I know Max is looking forward to hopefully being able to come hang out during DevCon in November in Thailand.
Yep. All right. Thanks for having me as well, Max and Dom, and like hope to host you guys